my mouth is about to start. I hope that my liver will be able to finish it at the end of the day. Oh my god, guys. If I had the opportunity to sit down with Kemi Adetiba, I think the only question I'll ask her is, Kemi, were you at any point inspired by power? You know, you saw power, we saw power, you saw what Ghost was trying to do, trying to get into politics before he got killed and all. For a little bit in King of Boys, Return of the King, I kind of had that feeling, but then I just want to welcome you guys to what is now Nigeria's most beautiful piece, because this is an amazing way to welcome Nigerians to the original series world, and I hope you're ready for it, because this journey we just started is going to be amazing. Let's get into the review of King of Boys 2, The Return of the King. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's what I'm about to review, and I hope that you're as excited as I am to tell you all that I saw. And yes, break it down as we used to do it, you know, on this YouTube channel with all of the reviews. Let's get into it, you guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, guys. My name is Eleshomi Oseredua. Yes, from the introduction and the trailer, you already know that we are about to review King of Boys, the movie. Okay, not movie this time. King of Boys, The Return of the King, the series. Yeah, that's what we're about to review. You know, initially at the beginning of the old KOB is coming back, KOB 2 and all of that, I didn't even know that it was going to come as a series. I was just expecting another 3 hours movie and then, you know, praying to God, hoping to God that it will be worth my time. But Kemi Adetiba, Netflix just took us on a very, very sweet ride of what we can now call the first Nigerian original Netflix series. It suits me. It suits me to say it. And yes, was it worth that tag? Definitely, you would find out as I get to talk about this particular series. I've reviewed quite a number of series on this channel, but I'm not sure I've done any Nigerian. We've not had any Nigerian series this much talked about, apart from some web series that usually would do well. But say a Nigerian series, this is the first. This is a first, and I'm very excited about how it all went. In case you're wondering what the hype is all about, probably you did not see the one and you're still finding a reason to jump on the bandwagon to get on this particular Return of the King. Well, let me quickly take you down memory lane. King of Boys is a movie by Kemi Adetiba. The original one was released, or the first one rather, was released in 2018, where we had Eniola Salami, Sobowale, Makanaki, Reminisce. We had Il Bliss play, Odogu Male, and a couple of other folks. Okay, yeah, there was Adesua, there was Sharon Oja, a number of people in that movie set around the criminal underworld. You get politics here, criminality, drugs, all those underworld. That's what we're exposed to, what goes on in the underworld, how people do everything and anything to get to the seat of power. Yes, we also had Toni in the first one, who played Sobowale's younger self. That's Eniola Salami's younger self. It didn't come off as an amazing movie to me at the time, and I think Kemi Adetiba is so futuristic because I felt like she knew what she wanted to achieve with that story and held on to it, even if we did not understand or totally appreciate it at the time. Because I think Kemi Adetiba is the first person to do a movie and then I'm sitting in the cinema for over 3 hours. I think that was the first place I had a problem with that movie, because I'm like, why am I in the cinema for over 3 hours? It was more expensive. everything just didn't make sense as a Nigerian in 2018. I just feel like, I mean, you know, the Nigerian movies, we just feel like, shall do what you want to do, sharp, sharp, and let us be going, you know. So I did feel it at the time, even though we felt like an amazing movie with good cameras, good cast, energy, action, and all that stuff. But I didn't really see it as an amazing movie. I didn't do a review at the time because I had not even started YouTube at the time. But I'm not sure I would have rated it as a good movie at the time, like an amazing movie. It was good, but I didn't think I would have rated it as an amazing movie because I was so tired, bored, and I was wanted to leave the cinema after 3 hours. That was how I felt then. But when we heard KOB2 was coming, I was quite skeptical for her, and I remember that I was one of those who tweeted that not every Nigerian movie should have a sequel, because we all didn't know where Kemi was going to come from with this one. And I think one of the most beautiful things I first appreciated was knowing that Netflix was going to take this over. Yes, not to say that there are not mediocre movies on Netflix, but I just felt like if Netflix was going to buy into any Nigerian story, it must be that good. And then when I eventually found out that it was now a series, a 7-part episode, and I'm like, okay, let's go. What do you have to offer? Going into the movie, again, the storyline is not totally different. It's a sequel, so it means that we continue from where we stopped after Eniola Salami was banished and then she had to return to the country. Shola Sobowale is still playing Eniola Salami. Toni still playing her younger self. Ade Tiger, that was played by Titi Kuti. We had Il Bliss play Odogu Malay. Reminisce returned, a shocker of course, because he was killed in the former one, but again, because of all the jazz, we can understand why he was able to return, and they kind of established that in the fact that if you kill any one of them, you have to burn the body. So yeah, let's believe that's it. Just too much, not be juju with this. So yes, Reminisce returned as Makanaki. We're introduced to Odudu Bariba, which was played by CharlyBoy. We had quite a number of other people. New introduction being the Yemi Okolawan, the Yemi the actor, playing the PR person for Shola Sobowale's campaign, that's Eniola Salami's campaign. We also had Nse Ekpe, I think I pronounced Nse. You shall know what I'm saying. Nse. I don't know how to pronounce her name right, but she also played the role of the Jumoke Randu, that's her name. We had Lord Frank play the governor, Randu. And then there was also the journalist in person of Ife Wara. There was Bimbo Manuel who played Ife Wara's boss. Basi Epayam, I don't know if that is his name now, I can't remember his name. An old actor also played the president. Osas returned as the journalist just like she did in the first part. And then we had RMD was also in it as Reverend. I'm trying to make sure that I touch on everyone because it's going to be very important in the analysis as I continue. I said Ike Osakodua came in at some point, camera appearance, but then it was very instructive and very cool to watch. Played a camera appearance while they were having the election. Joined Osas as an analyst on the TV station, that's Cab TV or Cab TV. So basically the cast it grew bigger, it grew richer, because I think that one thing Kemi Adetiba knows how to do is to carefully select the people she wants to work with, and I give her kudos for that, because everyone in this movie, and I say everyone in this one, just like the former one where they had amazing cast, although I feel like some people who we ended up seeing a lot didn't exactly do 100% in the first one, like those elders on the table. I'm not sure I was feeling what they were doing, but this time they kind of mended those loopholes we saw in the first one with richer cast and very awesome actors, and I enjoyed every little person or every person I saw in that series. I loved watching them. I enjoyed watching them. Even the one I felt wasn't an amazing actor still had prominent, impact on me as an audience or as a viewer while seeing the movie or the series. I think I'll have to get used to saying series this time around. So again, the cast, that's a rundown of the cast. The cast grew better and bigger, and it was interesting to watch everyone play their role. Personally, I wish I had them and Adesua back, because I think I loved that aura in the first one. But yeah, we can't bring her back, I understand. And the story was deeper. It was more intriguing. It was drawing me in at every point, and I'm like, don't let me go, don't leave me, don't leave me. I don't think there was any point in this story that I got bored, because I wanted to see what was going to happen next. So many lessons too were scattered all around the story that are very instructive, that we do not have so many Nigerian movies exposed. Of course, you know that it was rooted to represent our locality, and when I say our locality, I'm talking about our culture. You know, there was Yoruba speaking side, there was the Igbo speaking side, there was the Hausa speaking side. So they tried as much as possible to represent our culture in its deep form. It had a lot of proverbs, you know, and Daniela Salami said a lot of proverbs. I mean, at some point I'm like, okay, I've not heard this one before. The scripting was so good, the words, the lines were so deliberate that I could literally, even when I like it when I see series that when I'm about to ask a question, you're already answering my question with the next line, and then I'm like, yeah, you know what you're doing. And there were so many moments like that. I just feel like, yeah, you've answered my question, because I was already noting those questions to come and say they didn't do this well. But eventually, before I even ask in my head, there was already an answer to the question, and that just kind of made me feel like they blocked almost every loophole that this movie would have had. That's just the truth. The story is something that we all kind of have an idea on. We just wanted to see what was going to happen this time. How will the King of Boys return? Will she still be vindictive? Will she want to take revenge on the people that killed her children? You know, those are some of the questions that I had personally going into this movie. We felt like Makanaki was done for, but we saw how everything turned around. But then, in between, we saw Sobowale and Yala Salami fight a lot with our inner self, trying to find peace with our inner self. And that's where Toni came in, and I think Toni did a lot more better than we saw in the first place. I wouldn't say that she was the best actor in this movie, or she did better than some other people, but I think that her role was quite prominent, and I enjoyed watching her more this time than what I saw in the first part. And I give kudos to her for the level of growth, you know, that is really evident in Toni as an actor. So yeah, we saw the struggle between her present self and her old self, how she wanted to make retribution, how she wanted to walk on a different path, standing in to run for governor and all that stuff. But the fact that, you know, they say once a soldier, always a soldier. I think that was the case here, because she couldn't just help it. Her enemies kept coming for her, and she had to at some point stand up for herself. I think the role that RMD played was also very interesting. Of course, I felt like it was overdoing it at some point. You know, the whole what do we call them now? Not gig, but you know, this I'm trying to remember what that name is. I can't find that in English, or maybe when I do I'll slot it in somewhere. But I felt like it was overdoing that silly nature. So I'm like, okay, this is not funny anymore, just shut up, you know. But yes, we felt him in the role and character that he played. I also loved particularly the connection between Sobowale and Adetaiga, and Yola Salami and Adetaiga. It was believable. I loved to watch them together. I was so drawn to them that I could literally just felt goosebumps all over my body every time they appeared on my skin. That was how believable both of them were. Again, Adetaiga is not a very amazing conversational actor. I didn't like his expressions when he was in conversations, but his role was so believable that it became a favorite for me at the end of the day. I might even declare him as my favorite actor in the movie. I don't know. Yeah. I think think I got to that point. I almost said I was my favorite actor in the movie. Not taking flowers away from Mama Sobowale, but he owned it. I just really, there was something about him that I couldn't let go of, and I just loved it. I really loved it. Well, I think I could sleep on the old story character thing, but let's go to some of the things I wasn't feeling about this movie. Okay, before we get to some of the things I didn't feel, let me stay on the fact that it was rich culturally. It was beautiful cinematography wise. Kemi Adetiba did an amazing job as a director and producer. It was amazing to watch, you know, the scenes, the execution, the interpretations. They were all beautiful. Nobody was left behind. Issa did an amazing job. RMD was believable. You know, everyone held down their role, and that's one of the things that made this series beautiful. But unlike King of Boys 1, where we had so many gory scenes and believable scenes, I mean, I remember, if you guys remember that part where Makanaki boy in the first one tried to steal from him, and then he had him put his teeth on the table, like grab it to bite the table, and then he smashed. Oh god, they had so many gory scenes in KOB the original, but this time there were gory scenes, but it was not believable. The shooting scenes, I didn't like the VFX. The explosion scene that Salami and his gang were in, I didn't like the VFX. The cutting of the head scene by Makanaki's girl, I don't like the VFX. You know, those things were not believable, and I'm wondering why. Because if you could achieve it the first time, all of those goriness the first time without Netflix being a part of it, then what is stopping us this time from doing a lot better now that we have Netflix being part of it? So I felt like that was a huge minus, you know, to the entire setup at the end of the day, because this is about kingpins, this is about criminality, the underworld, and we know how bad and how rough it can be. So if you're going to paint that roughness to us, at least do it well. That was how I felt. So I did enjoy all those shooting. It just really felt like we're going back to those days where you will shoot that somebody will fall down before the gun even does bang, you know. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. The way the blood was stamping on them, nothing was believable about it. The way the explosion happened, I'm like, don't do that. But overall, other things worked for them that made me sort of ignore. And then when those scenes came up, I'm just like, okay, just don't worry, just be going. You already impressed us. I love the tweak at the end. As a matter of fact, the tweak at the end made me scream a lot. I'll probably be fixing in this video some part where I was really screaming when I discovered that Ade Tiger wasn't betraying his Oba, but rather is the reverse psychology to bring everything back together. I think that Efe Iwara was just really silly, and that's really a huge message to all journalists, especially at a time like this in Nigeria where we have so many wrong stories out there. Not that the stories were wrong, but we know what it means to follow your instinct, because I think that he had some points where his gut was telling him that there is something wrong here, but because he was an obsessed journalist and just wanted to break the story, he didn't follow his gut, and that's what landed him in trouble. The soundtrack was beautiful. I loved all of the infusion of culture and tradition. It was amazing to watch and see. I personally enjoyed every song, every proverb, every word. The subtitle did amazing, you know, did justice to the words that were not spoken in English as well, which I think was amazing. Il Bliss was a very, very, very happy and good character. I think I like him as an actor. I don't even know why, but he just had this happy feeling around him that I couldn't even get enough of. I just loved to see it. Another thing that they really pointed out that a lot of people might have overlooked because of what was going on, but I caught it, is what it means to self-harm. You know, some people I was on Twitter one time and I saw people talking about self-harming themselves as a result of a psychological battle they were fighting, and then you see people fighting with their inner self, and then they are self-harming, they are tearing their skin, they are cutting themselves. People think that this thing doesn't happen in Nigeria. It does happen. We can see how Enola Salami kept self-harming herself because she felt that was going to give her peace. believe me, these things happen, and I just hope that each one of us in everything we do will find peace eventually. Did the story end well? Oh, beautiful, amazing. How Ariel was killed, I loved it. But then we know that the story has not ended. In fact, it's only just begun. Now that it's a series, we hope to see it extend to different parts. Makanaki, we know, or of course we saw try to get power from Eniola Salami. Eventually he was able to work with her to submerge her other enemies and got the power. But before that, he had gone on his own way. He got his own way to seek some traditional power, you know. And then we know what they told him: you must not have a son in, you must not have a child. When the child is at the age of 4, you know, everything, your life is going to turn upside down. And I think that's what we're going to see play out later on, because after the end credits in this particular and the last episode of the season, we saw that Makanaki's girl, who does the killing for him, was pregnant. And I'm like, oh, who's the baby? Makanaki, I shoot. So I'm waiting definitely to see how that unveils eventually. But I think there's a lot of angles that can be explored for this new episode, or the new episode of KOB when eventually returns. There are so many angles. I want to see Ade Tiger grow. I want to see what's going to happen, how Issa is going to come, you know, for Eniola Salami. I want to see what the president is going to do. I want to see how Makanaki's story plays out. You know, I want to see a lot of things, because we know that although this one ended well for Eniola Salami, it's not going to be rosy, because there is still a Gobel somewhere. There is still Adebanjo, Bayo Adebanjo somewhere. That's the journalist who will definitely try to clear his own name. So there's still so many things hanging in the air, and I'm so excited for the future of KOB, because I feel like there is a future. I really feel that way. Well, I feel like there's so much to say. Like this, it was 7 episodes at once. So guys, what do you expect? There's so much to say. I particularly give kudos to them for the costuming as well. The costuming was beautiful. Tiana styling did a great job with Eniola Salami styling, as well as RMD styling. And I think, who else did she style? I'm not sure she styled Reminisce, but if she did, then I love the final outfits Reminisce came out with to be crowned by Eniola Salami. I really liked it. Overall, this is a must-see. You know, I'm a huge fan of supporting Nigerian movie industry, and this is a huge leap for us. I don't know who is going to match up this. I know I was reading recently, and I was like, okay, was King of Boys supposed to be the first Nigerian Netflix series? And I realized that there was a Netflix series, Nigerian Netflix series, that was signed off, but I don't think it's ready yet. But it feels like King of Boys has overtook or overrun whatever it is that would have been the first, and has been released, so we can say that it's officially the first Nigerian series, Netflix original series, and I'm just loving that vibe. She deserves, Kim Adetiba deserves all her flowers, her roses, everything at all, because this was beautiful. In fact, I've seen the final episode 2 or 3 times already, because I just couldn't get enough of it, and I'm going to keep watching it till I get tired. I just really have goosebumps from watching it, and I feel like you should go see it. And if you have, in case I'm missing anything or anything you noticed, then let me know in the comment section down below. I look forward to this movie winning amazing awards. I don't know how much, I don't know how well, but I hope that the Nigerian movie awards setup, whatever, would look closely at this and give it all the accolade that it deserves, because it does deserve so many. Apart from a few flaws of you know, cinematography, you know, moves and all that, camera moves, sounds that was loud at some point, the VFX I talked about. I don't think there was anything I want to write off in this. I don't think there's anything I want to write off in this movie. I enjoyed it, and I'll continue to enjoy it. I'm going to rate it 8 over 10, and that's because the VFX was a major part of the series that wasn't well executed. But apart from that, every other thing just really worked for me. The English, the poise, the charisma of everybody in that series They nailed it. Guys, let me stop there before I end up shooting a 1 hour review. But thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I will be coming. The month of September has so many movies dropping, and I cannot wait to review each of these movies for you, one after the other. I think the next time I'm going to review a movie, it might probably be Ghost at the Town 2 by Toni Brown. But let's keep our fingers crossed to that. Remember to like and subscribe. See you guys soon. Goodbye.